We're about to go through our entire no-code tech stack, every single thing we use to run our business, to build our no-code apps, to helping our clients and our students build their apps too. We're going to be talking internal business operations, full-blown no-code platforms, add-ons, things like payment, shopping cart, searching databases. I mean, everything. We are running through it all today. Stick around until the end because we're first going to break down the internal tools we use, and then we're going to go through the internal and external tools. So things that our clients, customers, users interact with. And both of these are important to you as a no-code entrepreneur. If you're new here, my name is Kristen. I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps. We help non-technical entrepreneurs build custom apps so they can launch their app-based businesses or grow their existing businesses, all without coding. And if you are looking for more information and help to do just that, subscribe to this channel for new videos every single week. So here's the deal. We have talked about what tech stacks are on this channel before, and we've gone through a tech stack for one of the apps that we've built and how that operates. And so you can watch those videos. I'll link them below. But today we're going to take a different view, and we're actually just going to run through pretty much our entire tech stack, every single tool we use for every single different operation, and it's all without code. And the reason why I want to do this is because you are likely trying to figure out how you can do something effectively as well, or maybe you're just unsure of what's really possible with no-code tools and how you can combine them. And so my hope is with this video, we can just pull back the curtain so you can see every single function and all the different ways you can use no-code tools as well. Okay, so let's just jump right in. What we're going to do is split things up to keep them organized. And we're first going to go over what I am labeling as internal tools. So the tools that are in our tech stack that we as a company use. So these are things that clients, customers, and users don't actually interact with. And I'm going to sort of web these out on the blackboard here. And there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to the order in which I go through them. So just know that going into it, but we'll explain all the functions and the uses for everything as we go through. So I'm going to start right down here with Bubble. Now, Bubble is the platform that we love using. It's what our clients and our students use. It's an all-encompassing no-code app development platform. And this is kind of the hub of everything. Now, we use lots of other tools, which we're obviously going to go through in this video, and our clients and our students use lots of other tools as well. But using Bubble as a hub is convenient because you can customize the core of your app, your business, and then build on top of it as you go. So again, we're just looking internally here. One of the things we use Bubble for is our tracking app. Now, this is kind of like a CRM, but in our private mentorship program, Built to Scale, we take entrepreneurs from their idea stage to bringing their first pilot users on board. And there are tons of moving parts within that. And so we've built an app that essentially takes care of all of the parts of the process that should be automated. So we very much believe in automating all of the things that we as humans shouldn't really necessarily do because doing them ourselves doesn't add value in any way. But by automating those things, we can deliver even more value since we now have more time back. And that's essentially what this tracking app does. Now, I'm not going to go in depth into it because this is one of the other videos I mentioned. We have an entire video that goes through this full app. So definitely check that out if you're interested. But we also use Bubble for our own product management. So we have standalone courses and training that teach Bubble, and we've built our own LMS, learning management system. So we manage the content and the users and all of that within our Bubble app. So this kind of serves as the hub. Now, the next tool that we use really extensively is ActiveCampaign. Now, you are likely going to be using your own email marketing service in some way. And this can really serve as a major business operations tool. So ActiveCampaign handles everything from the emails we send out to the onboarding for certain products and programs to notifications to sales. I mean, everything. So internally, specifically, ActiveCampaign is excellent for sales management. So there is a sales pipeline feature in there. It also helps with notifications. So again, in a business, the less you have to remember, the more brain space you have to focus on the more valuable operations. And ActiveCampaign is fantastic for sending out simple notifications. So for example, if someone purchases a subscription, then ActiveCampaign can trigger actions to happen, but it can also send notifications. So for example, maybe you want to personally reach out to someone after they purchase a subscription. Maybe it's a very high tier payment plan and you want to reach out and maybe add a manual touch in there. Well, you can get a notification to do that. So from the more complicated or complex things to the really simple reminders that just make it easy for you to not have to focus on remembering all of those things, ActiveCampaign is fantastic. Now we also connect Google Sheets, and I think it's worth adding it in here, even though it's simple, pretty much everyone uses Google in some capacity, but we have internal documentation where we like to track certain things so we can evaluate metrics and that sort of thing. And so ActiveCampaign in some of our automations sends information over to Google Sheets, and sometimes this communicates information with external parties on the business operational side. So you can really do a lot. Now we also have Help Scout, and Help Scout really, I mean, it's just an email support system, or an email management system. So whereas ActiveCampaign is an email marketing service, Help Scout is kind of like a support ticket management system where you can have your inbox, your support, your, all of that in one place. Now, what I really like about Help Scout, aside from it just being an inbox, is that you can really treat it like a no-code tool because you can create workflows within Help Scout. Now, this is really cool because if you have, for example, a support person who handles bugs and errors within your app. So maybe your app is live and you have a place where users can submit a bug report, for example. Well, that could come into Help Scout and you could have a workflow that says, anytime this type of email comes in, send it to X inbox within Help Scout and tag X user. So you could tag your support person who handles these tickets and goes in and fixes the bugs. The more workflows you can have, the better. Those keep things from falling through the cracks. So that's one of the things we use Help Scout for. We also have Stripe as our payment processor. And if you are building an app on Bubble, then you're probably going to be using Stripe as well. There are some occasional exceptions to this, but for payment processing, Stripe is excellent. We also have Slack. Now, if you haven't used Slack before, then you're probably, well, that's not right. You're probably familiar with Slack. Slack is what we use for our internal team communication. So I'm just going to put comms here, but we also have notifications and reminders come through. So for example, we have a couple different Facebook groups. So we have a free Facebook group for no-code app entrepreneurs who are wanting to engage in a community. We also have a private Facebook group, and Slack sends in notifications to us when someone posts in our Facebook groups. And that way we can make sure that we're able to, go in and help someone or point them to a resource or whatever it may be. But this makes it so that, again, the operations just happen really seamlessly. We also have notifications come through whenever, someone applies for an open position that we have or something like that. So we can have different channels in Slack where different information comes in an automated way. And that way we just don't have to check on things. Things are brought to our attention when they need to be addressed, and that's when we focus on it. So it really just saves a lot of time. We also have Algolia. Now, you may have heard of Algolia before in the Bubble world. You can connect your Bubble app to Algolia. Now, we specifically use Algolia for the way we want to display our blog posts on our site. So we had a really specific way that we wanted to do this, and Algolia was perfect for what we needed. And there are other tools we use, things like Vimeo for video hosting, things for processing payroll. I mean, all those types of things, but they don't necessarily have interactions with other tools. And so I'm leaving those types of tools out just so that we can focus on the things that you can actually create workflows within or have communicate with each other, that type of thing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump over to the next side of things, which is going to be internal and external tools. Now, again, when I say external, what I really mean is that users, customers, students, clients have interactions with these tools in some way, shape, or form. By the way, there's actually a tool that we use internally in a really big way, and I left it out of the initial overview because it's a little bit different, and it actually might surprise you if you've been around here for a while, because we really focus on using Bubble, but I'm going to go through it at the end, so stick around for that. And also, if you're finding this video valuable and helpful, if you could give it a like down below, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us get the video out to more people so we can help even more people build their apps. Back to our bubbles, pun totally intended. We still have Bubble down here at the bottom. And again, we're looking at internal and externally facing uses and tools. So with Bubble specifically, we have our dashboard site. So our dashboard site is really where that LMS is housed, which I mentioned before, our learning management system. So we have a dashboard where our students of our fast track course, our API course, our monthly membership, this is where they log in and can access all of their content, can, save lessons, save notes, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of interaction on their part as well. And it's worth noting that our main site is also built on Bubble. Above this, I'm going to put Thinkific. Now, Thinkific is a really fantastic LMS as well. Now, it might sound weird that we have an LMS that we have built, but then we're also paying for an LMS. And it's worth talking about this because it'll come up in your business's growth as well. There are going to be a lot of times with your app and your business where you have to weigh whether you want to invest more time versus whether you want to invest more money. You also have to think about different customizations that you need. We needed a different setup for the training and learning content that we have within our mentorship program. And at that time, it wasn't worth it for us to go in and rebuild the LMS or add on to it. It was more worth it for us to just pay for a platform that fit the exact needs that we had at that time. And so that's where Thinkific came in. So I'm going to put a little training asterisk right there for Thinkific. So after that, we also have JotForm. There are tons of different form builders that you can use, and we've used different ones over time as well. Now, you can build your own form system on Bubble, but again, we opted for ease of building. We wanted to pay for a tool that gave us what we needed instead of spending time building it ourselves. Some things we're going to prioritize building it ourselves. Some things at this point we're just not. And the form builder was one of those things. So we use JotForm for things like strategy calls. When we help entrepreneurs put together development, testing, and launch roadmaps for their apps, we use JotForm for things like support outreach, different interactions like that. We also have Calendly, which is another very common scheduling tool that people use. We've also used other scheduling tools in the past. Calendly is just simple, kind of like in the same way I talk about JotForm. It just does what you need it in a simple way. And so it fits our needs. We use it for, again, things like scheduling strategy calls. We also use it for scheduling, team collaborations. We use a platform called Pay Kickstart. And this one is for creating shopping carts, checkout pages. And again, this is something that you can build yourself and something that we previously did build. Every time we wanted to update a checkout page or create a new checkout page or customize it in some way, we would build that ourselves in Bubble. And we could have kept doing that, but at a certain point, we wanted to have a service that just did it because it wasn't really worth it for us. We didn't really need to build it out. So that is what we use here for our checkout, and it allows us to put up shopping carts, checkout pages really, really quickly in a matter of minutes. Whereas building that out, if you're going to build it out one time, build it yourself. If you are pretty frequently changing things, or if you're going to be testing things and it's worth it to you to invest the money to save the time, then you can pay for a platform like this. We also use Zoom, which at this point, probably everybody in the world is familiar with it. We use Zoom, again, for meetings with our clients, for strategy calls, for team meetings, you name it. We also, I'm going to link that out to Facebook, where we can sometimes stream things. So, I mentioned we have our free Facebook group. Sometimes we have workshops on Zoom where we stream them into the free Facebook group, so you can get a lot of connectivity, and I'll put a little streaming asterisk there as well. So this pretty much makes up that internal and externally facing tech stack. A few times I've mentioned tools that you could build yourself, or you could pay for them through a third-party service, or maybe at one point we did build a tool ourselves and then we ended up switching. And there's a lot further we could go into that. And we actually have an entire video that talks about when you should build a feature yourself versus integrating with a third-party service. So I'm going to link that up so you can check it out too. But there are lots of different situations where you can build the feature yourself. Again, with Bubble, one of the reasons why we love using it so much is because you can pretty much build anything you need. And so while I just went through this tech stack of lots of different tools, we could eliminate most of those if we wanted to. But you have to think about your priorities and the stage you're currently at with your app and with your business. Where does it make sense to pay for other tools? Where does it make sense to invest the time in building it yourself? So you really have to think about the time, the cost, and the customization that you want too. I mentioned we have another tool we use for internal operations, and that is Notion. For our internal operations, we like using Notion for things like SOPs and really just mapping out different operational pieces and logging things. So you can kind of think about Notion. Well, I should say Notion has lots of different use cases. The way we like to approach Notion is, instead of having things spread out everywhere in Google, on Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Drive, all of that, You can bring everything into Notion and actually start connecting pieces together. So you can build different simple types of functionalities in Notion, but for us, we use it for mostly documentation and procedural purposes. One thing to remember is if you're just starting out, if you're in the planning stages with your app, or maybe you're in your early development stages, don't let this make things feel too complicated for you. Don't try to figure out all the tools that you can use. Just use what you need right now. So if you're just planning out your app's development, scope out your features and then see if you actually do need any third-party tools yet. You might be able to build everything you need on Bubble, or maybe you just need an integration with one third-party service at the very beginning with your initial launch. And if you need help scoping your app, which you want to make sure you do strategically, we have a free template and training you can check out. It's over at coachingnocodeapps.com/perfect-pilot. I'll link that up below as well. That's just going to help you scope out your initial features and making sure that you are developing the first version of your app strategically so that you can bring on the right users and get the right type of feedback. But you want to make sure you're only using the tools that fall within that and not getting shiny object syndrome. But as your app grows and as you grow as a business, as you start hiring different employees or outsourcing different types of work, then your tech stack is going to grow as well. Don't try to plan it all out right now for the future. Just know that you can kind of piece things on and build this stack as you go, and think of it situationally. As you need it, know that there are a million and one tools out there that can serve your needs both internally and externally. And in some cases, there can be crossover as well. All right, if you found this video helpful, give it a like down below, subscribe to this channel for more if you're not already a subscriber. We hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.